Well, Wednesday was not John Boehner's day. He got hit from the left and the right. But what a difference a day makes as House Republicans prepare to vote on their new leaders less than 24 hours after ripping the Speaker for not allowing a vote on Sandy funding. Congressman Peter King's tone was decidedly kinder this morning.
I do consider John Boehner a friend, which is what really hurt the other day. John will be re-elected Speaker. John is really a voice of reason in our conference, despite some of the things I said yesterday.
Classic Peter King. Let's bring in our gaggle, MSNBC contributor and political editor for thegrio.com, Perry Bacon Jr. From the Associated Press, Liz Sidoti, and David Drucker, Associate Politics editor for Roll Call. David, this is your neck of the woods, Roll Call's neck of the woods. Let's start with palace intrigue. Something Peter King said, which I think underscores why is John Boehner in charge of this conference and nobody else, and that is he has this sort of fragile coalition of old bulls, the remaining moderate Republicans, right, and a bunch of people who don't want to see Eric Cantor as Speaker. Yeah, I mean, and essentially that provides his majority, right?
Well, I think, you know, for people wondering why the Speaker is going to retain the gavel today, most likely.
And in a very weakened state. Let's not realize
oh, look, he is beaten up and has really nothing to show for the last 2 years, you know, whatever you can say about anybody else in this town. But there are three things to note here. First of all, if the Speaker is to be replaced or taken out, first you need somebody who wants the job. All right, I don't know of anybody outside of Eric Cantor that wants the job. Second of all, you need somebody who can get the votes, a cross-section of the conference, the old bulls, the Tea Party players, and the reasonable people who worry about how the Speaker might reflect on them, somebody like Peter King from New York, who doesn't need somebody who's out there as a Speaker. Finally, you need somebody who's willing to risk losing. All right, there is nobody who has all three of those characteristics, and Boehner is a pretty wily political operator, more so than people give him credit for. He's failed to do much, but in terms of keeping the speakership, he can do that.
There's another model for Speaker, and that is sort of the figurehead Speaker is unfair, and I want to say Dennis Hastert was a figurehead, but it was sort of a different way where the power center was with the number 2, not with the number 1. There isn't that obvious person either, if you will. You go back there. So John Boehner retains this gavel, but why should he even want? I'm surprised he wants it.
Well, I think perhaps, you know, if we're going to look at the other side for a minute, maybe he's looking at this. Yes, he's in a weakened state, but does this not give him an opportunity now to say, you know what, I tried it your way, far right. I'm going to take bills to the floor, even if they don't have, you know, majority Republican House support, and really shoot for some grand compromises. Maybe he does go back to the old school way of, you know, how he used to be, which was, you know, trying to strike the grand bargain and going across the aisle and such to get big issues done. Because frankly, it's going to be really hard to get issues like immigration, gun control, any of that
I guess my question
without bipartisan.
Who talks to the White House? Who will negotiate for the Republican Party on Capitol Hill? John Boehner said it's not going to be him.
Exactly. The Hill wrote a story today where John Boehner actually said, I'm not going to have one-on-one meetings with the president anymore to negotiate bills. It basically sends the power to Mitch McConnell, which we saw already.
Or is it somebody else?
Somebody else in the House, because the House ultimately is a very big, important part of what happens in Washington. But Boehner is basically conceding that I can't lead this caucus right now in the way I would like to. My compromises aren't working.
And the thing that struck me about what happened yesterday with Chris Christie, does any of you believe here, and David, let me start with you, that when Eric Cantor told Chris Christie what happened to the bill, that his name would be used when Chris Christie went to the bully pulpit? Do we really think Eric Cantor thought that?
Yeah, I think that Eric Cantor knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, do you think he wanted that public, though?
I don't think he minded so much, because I think that given his vote, if you saw the Speaker, the leader, and everybody else were together on Plan B, but on the final Cliff deal, guess what?
Split.
Cantor and McCarthy.
But Ryan went with Boehner. And that was a big deal. That showed that there wasn't this like...
Yeah, but Ryan understands the realities of governing, and he takes a long view. He was the lone... Look, Ryan was the lone wolf at a time when Republicans didn't have many people pushing for everything they say they want now. But I think Cantor was looking to create a little separation.
But I can't imagine he thought Christie, because that's got to... Whatever bad vibes that were between, the bad mojo, if you will, between Boehner and Cantor, that it supposedly had been erased, it's gone.
Well, I think that just highlights all the divisions that we're seeing right now in the Republican Party. I mean, it's Christie and against, you know, Boehner on Sandy. You've got, you know, the caucus split. You've got all these different divisions, and we're just going to continue to see even more and more. horrible.
By the way, bashing Congress is a pastime of Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, David Letterman. But if it becomes now a pastime of Republican governors, that's a problem for the Republican Party.
That's straight. And Christie thought it was a very good idea.
It was good politics.
Christie's a good politician, as we know from before the election. And the fact that he did that is a very smart party.
Yes.
When he's running for re-election.
Well, the thing is, what if that gets contagious?
And I think it very well.
And Terry Branstad decides it's good. Not just obvious guys like Chris Christie. All right, stick around. We're going to talk about. There's other new faces to watch. I feel like we haven't had this good time to welcome these new guys in because we never told the other guys to leave. We asked you to name the most recent House Speaker who was not elected on the first ballot. The answer, Frederick Gillette, of course, of Massachusetts. Back in 1923, it took 9 ballots in 3 days for Gillette to be reelected to the speakership for a third term. A half tip to our Capitol Hill producer, Frank Thorpe, for digging that one up. Could he become a household name for the next 12 hours if this happens today and we get 2 ballots for Boehner? If you've got a political trivia question for us,